hung call cards in shop windows. Wells Fargo messengers, with their ubiquitous blue caps and black sleeve garters, stopped by in horse-drawn wagons to pick up packages for shipping. Of course, there was nothing dramatic or exciting about that. 99% of Wells Fargo's express service was the routine delivery work so artfully recreated in The Music Man. It was that other 1% that made Wells Fargo stand out from every business enterprise in American history: the company's relentless battle against thieves, highwaymen, and train robbers. Wells Fargo hired tough men who were good with guns to protect its express shipments. It employed crack detectives to unravel robberies and track down bandits. Some of the fabled characters of the Old West acted as Wells Fargo messengers, guards, or special officers: Wyatt and Morgan Earp, Bob Paul, Jeff Milton, Jim Hume, Fred Dodge, Harry Morse, and even the poet Bret Harte. But the stories of most of the company's expressmen have been long lost in the shadows of the past. Since the 1930s, many volumes have been published about Wells Fargo, but no book has ever been written about its express guards and sleuths. In the pages that follow are the true stories of 20 of the company's most valiant shotgun messengers and detectives of the Old West. Wells Fargo's story began with the discovery of gold in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada in January 1848. The news did not reach the East Coast for 10 months, and when it did, all hell broke loose. Gold fever swept America and then the world as one of mankind's greatest mass migrations erupted. The gold seekers were overwhelmingly young and male, far from the settling influences of home and family. Once in California's mining region, known as the Mother Lode, young men behaved in ways they would never have dreamed of in front of their mothers, sisters, and sweethearts. They drank, gambled, whored, and brawled. With little or no law enforcement, every man was responsible for his own safety. Thus, 49ers carried Bowie knives and the newly invented Colt revolver. This mixture of testosterone, alcohol, and blue steel was a deadly brew, resulting in extremely high rates of violence. The pattern set in the gold camps of California, replete with saloons, gambling halls, brothels, weak police forces, and active vigilance committees, would be followed in every successive boom frontier for the rest of the century. From the Comstock Lode in Nevada to the gold fields of Idaho, Montana, and Colorado, to the cattle towns of Kansas, to the silver camps of Arizona, and finally to the gold mines of the Klondike. In New York, financiers Henry Wells and William G. Fargo, two of the owners of the American Express Company, recognized that huge profits could be made in California. Their principal competitor, Adams and Company Express, began operating on the West Coast in 1849. On March 18, 1852, they organized Wells Fargo and Company in New York and 3 months later opened an office in San Francisco. Because local mail delivery was all but unknown during the gold rush, letters and shipments were carried by private express companies. Wells Fargo bought out these smaller concerns and rapidly expanded. By 1866, the company had 146 offices and carried express on 4,000 miles of stagecoach lines. 10 years later, it had 438 offices throughout the West, operating on 6,000 miles of stage lines and 3,000 miles of railroad lines. As railroads expanded, so did Wells Fargo, which grew exponentially: 2,654 offices in 1890, 5,643 offices in 1910, and 10,000 offices throughout the United States in 1918. By that time, it was one of the country's largest business enterprises, with 35,000 employees. However, wartime emergency in 1918 resulted in the federal government's merging all express companies into a single entity, American Railway Express. Although Wells Fargo's lucrative banking business was unaffected, its colorful history as a pioneer express company abruptly ended. In the popular imagination, Wells Fargo is inextricably linked to stagecoaching. Although Wells Fargo